ladies and gentlemen. If you hear a noise in the background, it's because I'm brewing some coffee. But welcome back to whatever this coffee show is. I still haven't come up with the name of it, so that's kind of like unofficially the name, and I'm recording a lot of these back to back, so, you know, sorry if... But for those guys who aren't familiar with the show, this is where we have a little bit of a conversation. So if you want to be part of the discussion, leave a topic down below. What should we talk about? Today's discussion comes to us from Dao Su Dao, I think is how you say it. And we're actually going to mix this up with Jose Nayo's discussion that he also wants to talk about, because I think they kind of go hand in hand. And Dao Su Dao, they say, how should we critique others properly? And how should we take criticism in a positive way? Here's some things to consider. And types of language to use when doing a critique, where to critique, and how critiquing graffiti is different from other art forms. And Jose says, how to find your art style. I think my coffee's actually ready. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that real fast. Alright, so when critiquing any form of art, you should really only be considering fact. Things that are right or wrong, very much black and white. Because oftentimes there is a definitive correct or wrong thing that they've done. And it ends up not being so much opinion based. Now I know a lot of people are gonna say art is subjective, and you have a point to a point. But you can't deny the fact that there is a difference between an amateur artist, an experienced artist, a professional artist, and a master. There are definitely differences between these, and there's no denying that. And this difference is very much a matter of the fundamentals, the art form, specific fundamentals, the elements of art, and the principles of art. This is hot. I'll have to let this sit for a second. And these are the things that you want to consider when you're doing a critique of any kind. So when you have to critique somebody, it's really important that you, as the person giving the critique, extract all opinion. Either save that for the end of your critique, or first tell them, hey look, this is an opinion, this is not fact, this is 100% my opinion. Make it perfectly clear that this is an opinion. Because like when I give a critique, whether it's for portraits, whether it's for graffiti, you know, I'll give them facts. I'll say, hey look, your letter structure is wrong because X, Y, and Z. Hey, you can use some improvement on your negative space management because of X, Y, and Z. Hey, your anatomy is incorrect because X, Y, and Z. And it's important you do that. It's important you give reasons why. You have to be able to back it with evidence. If you can't back it with evidence, then don't say it. Now, oftentimes when you give a critique, you'll have those people who try to defend it by saying, oh, but that's just my style. And if somebody does this, this is when you have to go ahead and either A, lay off of them if you see that they're not gonna be the kind of person that's ready for a critique, or if you know that they will accept facts, then this is when you pursue with facts. This is why it's important to be able to prove your claims when giving a critique. This coffee is still hot. I can't drink it. I'm too much of a bitch to drink this. This is probably also a good time to say that you should never be giving somebody a critique if they don't first ask you for a critique, right? That's completely unwarranted. If somebody's not willing to have that sort of pressure on them, don't impose that on them if they're not asking for it, because that's when you'll get those people who double down, triple down on, oh, that's just my style, or oh, I know, you know, insert justification here. Those are the people who don't really want the critique, or are a little self-conscious but do want a critique. And if you are faced with one of those self-conscious people, then it's your job to kind of ease them into it. But let's say you're coming across one of those people that does double down on the defense of, oh, that's my style, or oh, insert justification here, or let's say you are one of those people. This is where it becomes important to kind of learn how to take a critique, because that is equally as important as getting critique. That's one of the best ways to get better in art. So I use myself as an example. You know, I produce content for YouTube, so I'm always getting opinions thrown at me. And when I do, sometimes it's like, hey douchebag, you suck. And there's not much information there. And even with stuff like that, it's important to be able to have the ability to take a look at your work regardless and go, you know what, do I suck? And not asking that question like, oh man, do I really suck? No. It's much more a matter of what made them say this. There's sometimes some nugget of truth behind a comment like that, and it's important to be able to look at your work and go, could my letter structure have been different? Could my anatomy have been different? Could my letter and name weight been different? Could my negative space management have been different? And just go down the list between every single element of art, every single art form specific fundamental, and every single property of art, and just double check, because sometimes you'll find something even from the super negative comments. And if it's a positive comment, don't get defensive about it. You know, just remember to always take a step back and look at your work, because you're not perfect. You never will be perfect, and you will make mistakes. We're flawed. We're human beings. It happens, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a little colder. It's a little bit too hot for me. So I think the key point for taking criticism, you should hear someone out. You should hear what they have to say about your artwork. And if they're right, good. You've just learned something and have, as a result, become a better artist. And if they're wrong, well, screw them. Who cares? Their words are irrelevant, and you can move on with your life. that's kind of how I've learned how to deal with criticism, because once again, I hear a lot of it here on YouTube. So that's what's helped me, and it's helped me become a much better artist. Like, I remember I was painting something on Twitch one time, and my friend Grenz, and I believe it was Squaw or Bushwookie, I forget which one of them was the one that said it, but both of those people, which one of those it was, they had mentioned how something was wrong with one of my hyper-realistic paintings, and I took a second look at it, and yeah, they were right, so I went ahead and I changed it. I remember a time very recently with my friend Krim. She went ahead and gave me some advice on a new method of painting that, had I been a more defensive, more like arrogant artist, I would not have taken that advice. I wouldn't have dedicated an entire painting to trying out her method. But because I'm open-minded to other people's, criticisms, because I'm open-minded to other people's suggestions, I went ahead and I tried it out, and it was amazing. And I'm actually doing it again for this painting right back here that's hidden. Which that leads us on how to find your style, because finding your style is honestly just learning the fundamentals. The second you learn the fundamentals, the second you understand the elements of art and the art from specific fundamentals, your style begins to grow naturally. Think of it kind of like a tadpole, right? In art, when you first start off, you're a tadpole. You don't know any of the art from specific fundamentals or elements of art. And as you learn these things, and only as you learn these things, do your legs start to come out. And those legs are your style. Those legs are what separates you from other artists. So that's how you find your style. You find your style by understanding those basics. Ah, delicious. I recommend in the beginning, don't focus on style, don't focus on all that fancy stuff, just focus on the basics, because focusing on all that fancy stuff is only gonna make it take longer for you, and you don't want that, right? The whole point, the whole reason why you're trying to get to that point is to get there faster. And the fastest way, ironically, is to not focus on it. The fastest way, ironically, is to focus on the basics. That's the fastest way to get style. This is actually something that I learned the hard way, because I spent 6 years focusing on style and not getting better. And I'm not the best artist in the world, I'm not the best graffiti artist on the face of the planet, not by any means, not even close, but I've found my style. Not only have I found my own 2-dimensional graffiti style, I found my own 3-dimensional graffiti style, and I've made a new art form for graffiti, which is hybrid style, and I've also learned how to do hyperrealism. So these are all just, my style. This is all how I do art. And that was only ever possible after I learned the basics. Anatomy, letter and name weight, negative space management, letter structure, form, values, space, color, texture, all that stuff. So hopefully that helped you guys out. Let me know in the comments down below, how do you guys take criticism? How do you give criticism? And if you happen to be a first-time viewer or you want to join the discussion, join us in the comments down below. What should we talk about next? For those guys who are new here, feel free to become part of the family by hitting that subscribe button. It's the best way to get our content first. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next video, but until then, peace. Man, this coffee's so good.